This is the story about my experience in getting a Celta certificate in Thailand. It was the first time I'd ever formally taught English, which only added to the stressful nature of the course. There were 2 lead instructors you spend time with throughout the month-long course. During the month, each instructor would evaluate you for 2 separate weeks. My cohorts started out as 8 students. 4 were already teaching in Korea, but there were others, like myself, who had not taught before. Mike's wife had a Celta, and now it's his turn to try and get one. There was also a bald guy, Tim, from New York City. It would be his first time in front of the class, too. Then there was Sam from Taiwan. I rounded out the 8. The course starts out simple, and the expectations begin low from the instructors. As time goes on, though, they will grade you more and more on teaching concepts, so it gets harder and harder as the course goes on. When graded, you either exceed their standards, meet their standards, or you're below their standard. One of the other Celta students, Tim, showed up the first day with a thick sheet of sun protection on his face and head. He explained how he'd overcome skin cancer before and was fearful of the tropical sun. I can't really blame him, but he still looked a bit funny. Still, I really admire him for overcoming his adversity. We were taught each day the principles of T-Soul teaching. After 3 days into the class and seeing the Celta instructors teach, it was time to start the student-teacher rotation. At night, we would split into 2 different classrooms. 2 Celta student teachers would then instruct around a dozen ESL adult students. The other Celta student teachers in your side group would watch and evaluate the instruction. The only evaluation that really mattered, though, was the Celta instructors. If you were not at their standard 2 times, you'd fail out of the course and not get your Celta. Each night we would rotate so those watching would get a chance to get some feedback. I later learned the previous class had 2 teachers who failed out of the course. Can I do it? I kept asking myself. Fear and doubt was just another part of the course. Tim overcame his adversity, and I have to in the past. I've got to do it, I told myself. It was Tim's first turn to teach. At least it was supposed to be. As the story goes, some other teachers saw him staring out of the classroom's windows on the 2nd floor, muttering to himself out loud, "Oh, I've made a bad mistake. A bad mistake." When it was time for Tim to teach, he wasn't around. We later learned that he couldn't handle speaking in front of others and had decided teaching wasn't for him. He spent the rest of the month touring Thailand. I was up the next night and thought about Tim's walking out. Can I do it? I asked myself again. Thoughts of my wife and the need to finish the course entered my mind. You can do it, I told myself. The first time I taught, it wasn't easy. I have the bad habit of talking too much when I get nervous. This later became a problem when we switched instructors midway through the course. Watch the teacher talking time, I was told on my evaluations. As the nights wore on, I concentrated all that I learned. While I can't say it got any easier, it did at least near its completion. Focus, focus. Sam, the guy from Taiwan, also decided teaching wasn't for him. I think he took the course mainly to get away from his wife while trying unsuccessfully to pick up some of the adult students he was supposed to be teaching. Oh, but that's another story. The last time I taught, I realized that I needed to put aside my nervous nature and forget about the added stress of being evaluated. I talked to my wife on the phone before class and told her of my fear of failing. Instead of hearing the words in my head, this time she said it for me.
You can do it!
That's what I needed to hear. I passed my Celta class and started teaching in Korea after the class. Whenever my students say they can't learn English, I know exactly what to say to them. You can do it! The end.